OG Culture presents.
Black is logical and black is mathematical. Um, the reason I took you through doubling is because naturally, when you look at life, when one cell becomes many, it divides in two, it doubles up, because division is an inverse of multiplication. That's why I started from there, because when you start any type of system, when you start from the root, everything else that flows out of it becomes inconsistent, only if the root is progressive. Um, Another thing I want to touch upon is the connection of Kemetic Kushite with Vedic mathematicians or mathematics. Um, Back in the day, thousands of years ago, the Kushite Empire had its empire reaching to the far east, past India, and into Asia. And we went everywhere else. We was in Americas. We was in Turtle Island. We was all over the world. So it was a black power um, superstructure that the Kushite Empire had. It wasn't a fake superstructure that exists now. You know, it wasn't fractured in that type of way. One of the things I definitely got to get into, which will enhance the mathematics that I'm working on. I'm not trying to do the mathematics. I'm working on the mathematics. There's a big difference. What I'm trying to do is not trying to do, but I want to work on the concrete expressions of Kimball formulas. I do want to work on that. That's one of my things, because when you work on the concrete expressions, like in mathematics, the bulk of the mathematics that I've been presenting is mostly abstract. Not abstract in which it's isolated from the concrete, because a lot of stuff that I was drawn in formulating or reformulating the mathematics come from reality. It wasn't just I was just sitting down, just thinking and thinking and thinking, or my thought was just in isolation to get that. It was immersing itself in everything else. Everything is in a constant synergy, whether you like it or not. So you get information from your internal and your external. So the concrete and abstract, even in the abstract or the concrete aspects, which seem relatively separated, they both have unities in it of abstract and the concrete in both of them, which presuppose their synergy. It's a precondition of synergy. What's within going to have to be throughout, you know. Right now I'm trying to figure out the formula of speed equal space times time. I'm trying to find the relationship of it. I'm working on a way of finding the relationship of speed, time, and space. That's one of the things I want to get into. And the thing about it, when you look at the Kimball formulas of multiplication, because when you're dealing with speed, time, and space, you're not dealing with basic addition and subtraction. You're dealing with multiplication and division. So inside of that formula is 0 equal 1, which is space and time. They have a certain type of synergy they work with each other before they produce the second, or the black 2, called speed, you know. And it's written in the books. When you look at the books, everything started from a nu, and a noon has no time, you know what I'm saying? And it has space, which is all the sequence existing at once, you know. So time is at a minimum, you know. Time is not large at all. you know, compared to space. That is my theory. That's why um, Einstein was able to partially figure that out. Because one of them is dominant, space or time. One of them is dominant, just like 0 and 1. But in order for you to produce speed, time and space have to be on some sort of similar footing or similar stage for them to interact as equals. But before that, when space dominated over time, time was just an extension of space, you know. Even one sequence, because time, when you deal with time of an event, a person, a place, or an entity or whatever, you're dealing with the sequence of development. What stage come first and what stage come last? What is the original stage, which is the 0 stage, and what is the 9 stage before it transcends? You know what I'm saying? So everything goes from 1 to 10 when you look at the surface of the object, but when you're looking at the internal of the object, everything goes from 0 to 9. That's the blackness of development and produce the 10 place decimal. I mean, not the 10 place decimal, but 10 digit decimal. And the number 10 is in a single digit, and that plays a part in life, you know, because when it's the difference between a single digit as itself, you know, a single digit showing itself, and a single digit as a double number. Those are two different things, because one look like itself. Like for instance, 0 through 9, they all single digits, you know. They look like themselves. But number 9 also is the black 10, so it holds the prerequisite of all thingly things. It is the source. It is the closest a single digit could become a double digit without actually becoming it, you know. It's sort of like the line between love and hate. It's a thin line, and that thin line represents 9, you know. And you know, the love could be represented as the single digit, and the hate could be represented the double digit or the thingly thing, you know. And 9 is part of the love, but in order for you to hate something, you must once love it, you know, because you allow something you hate to come that close to you in the first place, you know. They always say it takes 2 to tangle. One hand washes the other. And going back to time, the first thing that I think, because I thought I had the same thought when I was developing my mathematics, is that time and space is the 0 and 1, which creates the formula of speed, you know. Just like in Einstein's theory of relativity, when you have E equals mc squared, you're dealing with division and multiplication, not addition and subtraction. But so that means addition and subtraction of those so-called physical quantities is located in between the equal sign, which regulates the whole thing. But it's missing Eurocentric science, so they can't really produce, for instance, perpetual energy, because when you take the insides out, what happened is, like for instance, when you roll the ball, you know, a ball gonna roll a certain distance at a certain time. But my take on it is that it rolls at a certain distance at a certain time all the time before it was rolled and after it's rolled. What happened to the energy that made it roll? What happened to it? It went internal. It became unseen. It became black. So if it's unseen, the person that couldn't see it won't know it exists. So their assumptions or axioms in Eurocentric science is that the energy just dissipated or disappeared, you know. They go back to a spook type of scientific thing, you know. And they now, since Europeans deal with the law of identity, a lot of times they violate one law to validate another law, and vice versa, because they never found the synergy between those different laws to make it one of a kind. So they have to violate it in order for it to have an appearance of consistency. It's sort of like somebody wants you to do something good, but they tell you lies in order for you to do the truth, which is backwards, which is a Christianity type of mentality. You know, they tell you lies because they want you to be fooled and doing something good, which is a contradiction, which is not in the root of Christianity, because Christianity is a manifestation of the culture of law of identity crisis, which is the Eurocentric culture. We never, before we was colonized, we never accepted being our fragments as being something superior. We never accepted that. We accepted holistic. Spiritual is the neutralization of material and energy, and it's neither. You know what I'm saying? That's the spiritual. It's neither, and it's both at the same time. The progressive parts of both, and the neglect of this, the weakness of both. So it becomes this two. It becomes this black three. It becomes an expression of 0 and 1. That's what it becomes. And time and space is the heart of speed. You know, because when you look at time and space, you look at speed, and then you look at its other form, which is the identical. It's the same thing, like saying the cat is a feline. You already know a feline is a cat. You know what I'm saying? Whether you're talking about a wild cat, like a tiger or a lion or whatever, it's still saying the cat is a cat. So when you look at the law of identity, you look at speed, and you look at distance divided by time, which is it's still speed. You know, what you want to do is try to see how is speed equal with distance, and how is speed equal with time. How is the synergy of 0 and 1 relates to 0, and how the synergy of 0 and 1 relates to 1. And I guarantee when you find the material analogy of it, it becomes far superior than any Eurocentric analogy of their own formula. It becomes, even the most simplest form of it becomes qualitatively superior. You know, even though it's not on the same modern scale, or which is relative quality, which is absolute quantity. You know, maybe it's not as large as these large computers, these developed recessive machines, but the quality is still far superior, just like the ancient machines is far superior to modern machines, because they have a quality that these modern machines can only touch upon on the surface. And when they touch upon things on the surface, what they codified it as a word, is called a simulation. You know, in this wicked ass hologram. You know. And the unfolding of space and time is what gives the empowerment of speed interacting with space and speed interacting with time. You know, because one and 0 in this isolation has a far different quality than 1 and 0 in its synergy. So of course it's not the same thing when you say 1 equals 0. 1 equals 0 synergizing with space. 1 equals 0 synergizing with time. Now you're talking about different aspects of the singular speed that interact with both of the ancestors. You're talking about just like in mathematical analogy, 0 and 1 could relate to -2, and 0 and 1 could relate to +2. Those are just different expressions of that same 2. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. And the mathematics is synergized with the concrete, so that means you could find the same analogies in both. They inter-analogies. They could model each other. Mathematics and science can model each other, and when they exchange, certain new qualities are activated, which was once latent. You know, all laws is out there. The point is, which one are we interested in to do a particular task? That's the whole point right there.